Hi, I'm Elle, and today we're coming full circle with John Kuckian. My first video about John talked about how he lied to my face, and in this final video, I caught him lying to my face again. And I have proof. As soon as my last video went live, John came straight away to angrily leave a bunch of comments that I had pinned before he hurried to delete the entire thread. T by Ali made a hilarious video going through a lot of them, and she wrote some amazing burns that I loved. So I won't go over that again. You need to watch her video. But I will go over the lies that John decided to write. John started with, "Nice try. My business makes 85% of its sales outside of the UK. With Brexit here, my company has been in the process of relocating for the last 6 months outside of the UK. Attacking me over and over again only shows you are with the problem. Haters gonna hate." That doesn't even make sense. The accounts that John had to post on Company's House aren't the current accounts. They're the previous year's accounts. Considering Kuck Cosmetics' first launch was on the 25th of November 2017, the accounts that John has to share with Company's House by law would include the financial numbers that came with his original launch. That has nothing to do with Brexit. And even if John was telling the truth about his company moving, that wouldn't change his earlier accounts. In my first video about John, I showed email statements where John told me, "At our first launch, we sold out of our lipsticks in minutes, which left many people sad." If that were true, then his accounts would reflect that. Without the accounts, we'll never know the truth, which is why I believe that John would prefer to let Kuck Cosmetics die than deal with the shame. A stan of John's came onto John's comment to defend him, and then John came back with this. Thank you. It's hard to take any critique seriously when it comes from someone who's afraid to share their full name and face like I do. The lady posting this video has spent months spreading lies and rumours about me, even when I am off the internet minding my business. My friend sent me this video privately and told me they wanted to help me sue her. The amount of defamation in these types of videos is devastating. Pure bullying. I am so happy with all I am achieving, 90% of which I don't even post on the internet. First of all, that isn't how critique works. Critique is valid from whatever source it comes from as long as it's fair and based on real evidence. Just because John puts his name and face out there, that doesn't automatically mean that his lies and abuse suddenly become true and okay. Secondly, John left his comment on my video about half an hour or so after it went live. My video is 17.5 minutes long. So let's work this out together. John wanted me to believe that literally as soon as my video was posted, a friend of John's saw it, ran to him to say how terrible it was, that John immediately saw that message, that John then watched the video for himself, that they had a conversation about wanting to sue me, and then he also managed to write out a comment on my video that quickly. I'm impressed. But one of the things about John is that he's really arrogant. John loves to talk about suing anyone that factually calls him out and pretends that opinions and interpretations of receipts are somehow defamation when it comes to him, even though his social media accounts are full of actual lies and defamation about others, when he's not out there stealing other people's receipts, obviously. John did make other comments, including that he never backstabbed anyone, and I'm about 1,000% sure that Here for the Tea would spontaneously combust with laughter at that. He did dodge other kinds of criticisms towards him, but he did make a very interesting comment about Thomas Halbert. He said, "With regards to me blackmailing someone, sorry, what? Thomas Halbert, who has made up beef with literally everyone in the beauty community, tweets and deletes some crap about me, and this is valid evidence? Are you forgetting how he was dragged by Jeffrey for doing the exact same thing? You realise me and Thomas were friends. I have all the texts of us speaking, and he used to tell me dark shit about Jeffrey and Manny. Half my video info came from him. Nikki Tutorials, mainframe, 50k a month from Morphe, information from her friend Thomas. The fact you would even cite anything he says as evidence just shows how determined you are to drag my name and bully me." Just because Thomas has had beef with others and has made some major mistakes doesn't mean that he lied about how John treated him. I want to state for the record that I 100% believe Thomas and completely support him in this. The receipts are out there. Thomas 100% didn't lie. The funniest part about that comment is that John wanted to paint Thomas as a liar, that nobody could trust to tell the truth, but John also used everything that Thomas told him for videos. So that must mean, according to John, that all of his videos based on information from Thomas must be false. He really didn't think that argument through. I didn't think that having that comment out there without getting the other side of the story was fair though, so I posted it to Twitter to ask Thomas about it. I said, "Thomas, sorry to bother, but I think you should see what John Kuckian has been claiming about you in case you have something that you'd like to add or debunk. Thomas very kindly replied, "He's using the fact people don't like me to try and get his way out of doing me dirty. In his defence though, he would have never blackmailed me if another drama channel hadn't ran their mouth with lies to him in the first place. He also forgot people don't like him probably a lot more, so that really doesn't work." Thomas was referencing Here for the Tea talking to John about false accusations about Thomas. At the time, she didn't know what to do with receipts that were sent to her about Thomas and had asked for John's advice, because she trusted him. John, because he's a gross human being, demanded money from Thomas to stop him from leaking disgusting accusations about him, and Thomas was so naive and frightened that he did so, because false accusations like the ones out there about him are ones that do damage, even when proven false. The blackmail was one of the most evil things that John has ever done. Later, Thomas clarified further to tweet, "Silence is not an admission of guilt/regret, Lamau. I literally just say what I say and move on. You can rock with it or you can leave, I don't care. Deleting tweets is also not me displaying regret. It's just me getting tired of the discussion / or I find the tweets are cluttering my Twitter. I am probably the first person willing to understand different perspectives and grow. If that's not apparent to you, you're just a hater." But back to John's comments. He responded to my friend Metamorphosis Rocks to say, "I have no issue with commentary and I encourage it. I do that every day. Don't compare my videos to this. I speak about facts. This video is a bunch of false statements such as he knew his company was shut down when he posted that video. That's funny because I spent a week in Russia last month closing Kuckian Cosmetics' biggest deal yet." To be honest, I 100% agree with John that my videos should never be compared to his. Mine are factual with receipts that I either find myself or I ask about crediting whoever gives me them unless they want to stay anonymous. I'm not sure why John would be in Russia to close a deal for his cosmetics if he can't even keep his business open in the UK where it was founded though. I'm no expert, but it would have to be a lot easier to update some information online in the UK than travel to Russia for a business deal when there was an open First Gazette notice that warned John that his company would close. But maybe that's just me. John couldn't help himself but keep going though. "You can try to drag me all you want, Elle," whoever Elle is. "Anyone outside of this toxic community can see you are nothing more than a bully attacking someone who's minding their own business. My business is my business. The giveaway winner will be announced on the next Instagram post as it always is. The issue with Companies House is their issue. The paperwork is filed and I have emails from them twice since December confirming this. You just keep picking away at my life. It's easy to do that when you're hiding away without a full face or name. No one can come back at you. You realise it takes balls to launch a cosmetics brand when you've spent years dominating beauty investigations on YouTube. People love or hate me because I speak about their idols when I run investigations. My content is so pointed towards education and fun, nothing like the person you make me out to be in the content that you create. I am doing nothing but minding my business away from all this toxicity and people like this. Surely there is a better hobby out there than desperately hoping for someone to fail. Dragging me down in videos won't get you any higher, bully." The first time that I read that John was out there dominating beauty investigations, I laughed so hard that I had tears running down my face. He is a joke. But more importantly, he's a liar. John said that his paperwork was filed and that he had 2 emails from Companies House from back in December because they had some kind of issue on their end. That was probably the worst thing for John to claim for a few different reasons. John only bothering with his accounts at the last possible moment shows poor business practice to me, but, much more importantly, the First Gazette notice was published on the 29th of January, which is a month later and not part of Companies House. Just so you know, the Gazette was established in 1665 and is the official journal of record in the UK. You can see quite clearly that Kuckian Cosmetics was part of the First Gazette notices published by the Gazette at the end of January. But to be clear, I thought I'd talk to Companies House myself 2 days after my first video to see if I could find out what was going on. I said, "Hello, I was hoping that you could help me. There is a company listed on Companies House that was sent a First Gazette notice for compulsory strike-off on the 29th of January, and there has been no update since then. Both the company's accounts and confirmation statement are listed online as being overdue. The account's overdue by 4 months. Would it be possible for you to explain why the company wouldn't yet be officially dissolved? Thank you for your time, I really appreciate it. Hi Elle, could you possibly give me the company name or number so I can look into this for you? Thanks, Jay." No problem. It's company number 106407222, Kuckian Cosmetics Limited. Hi Elle, yes, I can confirm that the GAZ-1 was issued on 29th of January 2019, which stated that the company would be dissolved 2 months from that date. Taking processing times etc. into consideration, the company should be dissolved this week or the latest beginning of next week, providing there are no objections, which I cannot see have been lodged up until now. Thanks, Jay. The company director claimed that he had posted his accounts and confirmation statement in December, so I take it that was a lie? And would you be able to confirm that there are outstanding fines for not filing the accounts? Thank you so much. Hi Elle, I can confirm that there are no outstanding fines for the late filing of any documents. The accounts should have been filed with us no later than 27th November 2018 and the confirmation statement by 12th March 2019. I hope this information is of assistance to you. Jay. So does that mean that when the company is closed, the government won't be demanding any fines be paid for not filing? I was under the impression that not filing meant that there were fees and potential prosecution. I really appreciate you clearing this up for me. The Registrar of Companies is striking this company from the register for the non-filing of annual documents required for public inspection. Upon dissolution, there will be no fine or prosecution action, but any assets, funds, held by the company will be deemed bona vacentia and belong to the Crown. J. So, there are two major pieces of information that came from that conversation. One, when Kuck Cosmetics is dissolved, there won't be any late filing fees as we all originally suspected, but whatever assets the company has will be taken by the government. Thinking about it, that makes sense, as it would be cheaper for the government to just seize assets than spend a lot more money going to court. But two, the more damning part was that I had this conversation 2 days after John had claimed in my comments that his company was fine and that he was going to sue me for saying that I thought it was going to close. But even then, John still hadn't made any attempt to stop Kuck Cosmetics from closing, according to that company's House representative, since they said that they couldn't see any objections lodged against closing. It's at this point that I want to remind you guys that when there was a first Gazette notice put on Kuck Cosmetics on the 15th of May 2018, John stopped the first notice from continuing the very next day. If there hadn't been a case of John stopping a first notice, then he could have easily claimed that he just wasn't sure what to do, since that would have been the first time that it had happened. But he can't, since he stopped it before immediately, but this time he's just chosen to let it continue. The only thing that we can deduce from that is the idea that John has let it slide on purpose. Why lie in public about being in contact with Company's House when an official representative is happy to state that Kuck Cosmetics is in the process of dissolving? Why get so angry in my comments section, then delete the entire thread as soon as I say that I'm more than happy to edit the video if he sent me his accounts to prove that I was wrong? Why not send proof when he has my email address and he claims to care so much about his company? I genuinely believe that John is obsessed with the image of success. He refuses to acknowledge that his lollipop mold company was a failure, and he talks about having multiple businesses that nobody else can find online. He tells everyone that he's so incredibly successful, but that we can't find out about it somehow. Just like all those American teenage boys that promise they have a Canadian girlfriend, and no, you don't know her, and no, you can't meet her or talk to her, but she's totally real, you guys. They promise. I mean, let's take a look at John's public LinkedIn. I'm not going to waste your time by reading everything out, but I do want to draw your attention to a mix of embarrassingly easy to debunk lies, as well as ridiculous claims that don't make any sense. For example, under education, John talks about his time at Northumbria University. I studied biomedical sciences at degree level with Institute of Biomedical Science accreditation. I really enjoyed self-learning areas including medical microbiology, neuroscience, immunology, metabolic biochemistry, and epigenetics. My grades were consistently first and 2-1, and I put a lot of focus on practicing the use of niche-specific language and learning to write organic scientific papers. Non-copy and paste. I deferred my final year exams after one of my company's profits grew exponentially, and operations required my full attention to survive and succeed. Within months, this company had generated more income than I would have generated as a graduate, and I continued to invest this capital into the next business venture. I may continue my degree at a later date or move straight through to masters. For now, it is more beneficial for me to grow my business using current skills than to offload operations and go back into full-time education. There's so much that's wrong with this that I don't even know where to begin. If you skim the top, it looks like he has a degree. He doesn't. There are a lot of words there that basically boil down to John dropped out of university. There is nothing wrong with people who either didn't go to university in the first place or didn't complete a degree But spending that amount of time talking about how he went to university but doesn't have a degree looks stupid. I'm going to come back to the activities and societies part in a minute, but anyone that's been to university in the UK will be laughing at this whole section. University isn't school. Lecturers don't just give students all the information. You're expected to study on your own. So John's so-called self-learning is something that's just expected. On top of that, literally nobody in the universe talks about individual exam results or coursework or essays as being graded at a first or 2-1 or 2-2 level. People say that they're working towards getting a first or a 2-1. Individual grades don't mean anything like that. It's a way to sound impressive, but looks ridiculous to anyone that knows about university. Practicing niche-specific language? That's fancy talk for learning words about the subject that literally everybody at university learns, where the niche-specific language depends on the degree subject. Learning to write organic scientific papers? I mean, literally everyone that studies a science or maths or psychology degree, that's John trying to make "I wrote essay coursework that everybody at university does" sound impressive. It really isn't. What really made me laugh though was John stating that he didn't copy and paste. Of course he didn't copy and paste. I'm not sure how it works in the US, but over in the UK, coursework used to be scanned into administrator computers to check for plagiarism that way. When John was at university, universities had just brought in a program called Turnitin, where students had to submit their essays and coursework online so a computer could automatically double check for plagiarism by scanning the whole internet. Plagiarism can and does get students kicked out of university. John isn't special for not plagiarizing. Him saying that, like it's so incredible, is such a massive joke. It's actually insane. I also want to say, as someone that actually does have a master's degree, hearing John think that he can somehow not have a bachelor's but somehow jump straight into studying a master's degree genuinely made me laugh out loud. With that train wreck out of the way, let's go back to the activities section. John states under his volunteer experience that he was the president of the LGBT Society at Northumbria University between June 2016 and March 2017. What I will show you is part of another person's LinkedIn profile, which says that she was the president of the LGBT Society between July 2016 and July 2017. Not John. That's weird, right? I think that's weird. Do you know what else I think is weird? John claiming to be the head of makeup and prosthetics for the Northumbria University Drama Society between 2015 and 2016, but wasn't included in a picture taken of the whole 2015 to 2016 Drama Society. I blanked out all of the faces for their privacy, but trust me, John is not there. But moving on, let's talk about John's Campaigner of the Year award. One thing that's absolutely exhausting about John is that even when he's trying to tell the truth about a real achievement, John is so egotistical that he has deliberately downplayed the fact that the award was given to himself and someone else. John wrote those paragraphs to try and play up a false appearance of humility to make himself look good, but instead of being open and honest, he instead writes to imply that it was an award that he was given alone. It's so grossly manipulative, and even more pathetic when you realise that if he'd been honest, that would have genuinely been impressive. But his ego is just too big to be honest. So even this achievement now looks like a joke. He just can't seem to help himself. He's always out there lying or exaggerating. Even when he talks about his fine art, the Josh Show made a video stating that John hadn't had any collections in the art galleries that he lists everywhere, and that the Vibra Fest took submissions from artists. It's all so embarrassing. Never mind John suing me. I should sue him for the amount of second-hand embarrassment that I get from him. But one thing that you guys need to remember about John is that when he's called out for genuinely horrible behaviour, everyone else is suddenly a bully and obsessed with him. He has to constantly paint himself as the victim. But, you know, in fairness, John is a victim. He's a victim of his own delusions of grandeur. He's a victim of his obsession with being seen as a success. He's a victim of his own ego and compulsive lying. And he's the slimy bully that ends up crying when others refuse to put up with any more of his behaviour, because he refuses to own up to his wrongdoings and won't ever admit his mistakes. The truth is that he's over. He's done. John might have a random delusional stand to back him up every so often, but there's nothing left for him. No matter where he goes or what he does, he'll forever be known as the lying, manipulative failure of YouTube, and that's the karma that he deserves for hurting so many different people and just not caring. I don't believe that there's a chance for redemption because he doesn't want redemption. He wants to manipulate others into feeling sorry for him. Well, I'm sorry, but I'm not buying what he's selling. Literally too, obviously. Now, this is the part where I usually tell you guys to like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, or don't do any of those things because I'm not your mother. But I want to end this video with a final message to John instead. As we say in The Sims, as we all say in The Sims, dag dag, bitch.
Dag, dag, bitch.
Dag, dag, bitch.
Dag, dag, bitch. Dag, dag, bitch.
Dag, dag, bitch.
Dag, dag, bitch.
Dag, dag, bitch.